What up, everybody? This is Dario Hunt from Living Life Fearless, and I'm back with a reaction to season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of the first season of Ash vs. Evil Dead. It was easily one of the best movie to TV adaptations that I've ever seen. Horror is not an easy genre to adapt to TV, and there were a ton of expectations that had to be met for this very beloved franchise. But all in all, in season 1, I think they met and even surpassed in many areas those expectations and added new and worthwhile additions to the lore. But even with a very successful first season, everybody knows the real test is in that sophomore return. And I knew finding ways to continually expand the franchise in meaningful ways while still delivering on all the promises of Evil Dead would be a big challenge for them heading into season 2. No spoilers, but season 1 ended up with a loose wrapping up of all events that happened prior, but you kind of already know and expect that things weren't going to last that way for very long. In fact, it's pretty much a running joke at this point at how often and how easily everything goes to shit for Ash and gang. And thankfully in season 2, they don't waste any time in thrusting them right back into the shit, battling Deadites, and trying to fix everything that Ash messed up in the first place. Except this time around, they find themselves having to team up with, slight spoilers, Ruby, and returning to his hometown. It's essentially a blast from the past for Ash as he reconnects with old friends and family, and he's both literally and figuratively haunted by his past. The story isn't all that original, but it serves as a good vehicle to introduce Ash's past and people that we've never really met before. Once again, it's the banter and dialogue between the characters that drew me in episode after episode. It's still full of all that crude humor, foul language, and political incorrectness that I've come to expect from him. I also expect copious amounts of almost slapstick gore, which they once again delivered by the truckload. Season 1 had a ridiculous amount of it, and I really wasn't sure if season 2 could really up the ante that much, but they definitely did. There's some seriously gross fucking moments here. Like somebody literally getting their head shoved up a corpse's ass, or being force fed rotten milk from a 400-pound old lactating deadite. Everything is still pretty much all practical effects, and it's some of the best you'll see on TV, and you can really tell they had a lot of fun creating all this carnage. And while I do love all the slapstickiness of it, I will say the corpse's ass part was maybe a little bit too much. Now, what really makes Ash vs. Evil Dead such an amazingly fun watch is Mr. Bruce Campbell, aka Ash Williams. And in season 2, he shows once again why he is absolutely born to play Ash Williams and why he's so beloved by so many. Pablo and Kelly return as his two sidekicks, and they're every bit as good as they were in season 1, and they're easily some of my favorite additions to the franchise. Ruby also returns as a friend slash foe to Ash and the others, and that's pretty much the core group that runs through the whole season. But outside of this core group, I have to say the other characters in season 2 were far weaker than the first go around. I was really expecting some great moments from Elk Grove, but nobody really had a lasting impression on me or really brought anything new to Ash or the Soul outside of a bit of nostalgia. That unfortunately included his dad, who was really only good for a few laughs, even though he did somehow manage to out Ash. So when a lot of these other characters they introduce predictably meet their end, I could care less. And it really feels like neither could the show. The worst culprit of this though had to be the big bad demon of the season. I never really felt like he was a legitimate threat to anybody. And he was actually pretty boring and really generic, which are not good adjectives for the supposed main villain of a show. Luckily, however, I think the core of Ash, Pablo, and Kelly are more than strong enough to carry Ash vs. Evil Dead for at least a few more seasons. Now I'm about to enter full-on spoiler territory, so if you don't want to get anything from season 2 spoiled for you, I suggest you leave now. I'm gonna give you about 5 seconds. Alright, they killed off Pablo. Well, at least for 2 episodes, they killed him. The first season had one particular shocking death when they killed off Amanda. You could kind of tell that she might get killed off, but it was still pretty shocking because of how prominent she was in the first season and how full of an arc she went through. They tried to go for the shocker again by killing off Pablo, but ultimately it fell flat. Yes, it was pretty funny to see them lug him around in a trash bag, but you could really see the death coming a mile away. And then they brought him right back 2 episodes later, which really undercut the whole thing in the first place. They kind of did this twice, in fact. They killed off Ruby not once, but twice. Current and past Ruby, respectively. Just to have the past version of Ruby pop up not even 10 minutes later. It effectively retconned her back into being a villain towards the group. And all in all, it just really felt like lazy storytelling. Speaking of Ruby, what did she even do to change the deal between Ash and Ball? On screen, you don't really see anything, and it doesn't look like she did anything at all. But when Ball is killed, he immediately asked Ruby, what did she do? And what was the secret that Ash's dad wanted to tell him? Will we ever learn it? Overall, I felt like the ending was pretty shitty. Not the entire finale. I mean, Chainsaw Duel, come on, it's fucking awesome. But the exact ending itself. We went from just defeating Ruby and Ball in the 80s in one scene, then in the next we're right back in the present and the town of Elk Grove is honoring Ash for saving them? Huh? I feel like I missed something really important in between those 2 steps and everything just felt off. Maybe reshoots, maybe problems with production, I don't know. Ash getting his hand back because of actions they did somehow changing the future was pretty funny to see him only get it cut off 5 minutes later. So they changed things in one moment, like his hand, but when they return to the present, everybody that died is still dead. And it looks like everything that went down still went down. I don't know, man. Things just started to get real shaky towards the end. And when you start messing with time, things always tend to get really shaky. But have you seen season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead? What did you think about it? Do you think they fell victim to that sophomore slump? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to head over to Living Life Fearless and leave your rating for the show.